My name's Adonis Davidson, also known as Doc. I'm the founder and designer of the Classic Cloth Studio and Manufacturing Company and Claw. It is based in Tokyo. We started officially, the company was established in 2 weeks, it'll be a year ago. But I've actually been crafting it and working on it for about 3 or 4 years. I've always had a history in design. So I've been designing since I was about 16 years old. I was designing in Minneapolis for a couple of artists and a few well-known labels. And I even was fortunate enough at the age of about 17 or 18 to design for my own label, or in partnership with a friend of mine. He was much older than me, he taught me a lot. That label went on to do really amazing things, and they're still prevalent today, they still exist. I had always wanted to come to Tokyo and design. And honestly, I just kind of made a way for myself. Before I moved out here, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any money either. But I did have my portfolio, and it was stock from the work that I had done in the past. And I had came on the whim of like, yo, if I go out there and show somebody what I have, maybe send a few emails before I hop on this flight, on this one-way ticket, maybe somebody will see it, and then, you know, like, I can get a job. And it was kind of like you know, like a burn the ship situation. You know, took the ship over, and you put yourself in a position to where you can't go back. And that's kind of what I did. Moving from one design job to the next design job. So we're talking about from flyers for artists to stickers for some companies to doing merch for artists, and then logos for some companies, and then eventually getting back into streetwear and designing for other brands that are based here in Tokyo. But I still had that passion to really want to start my own label. That in itself is not a simple task. You know, Japan isn't just handing out companies, you know what I mean? Especially to people who are coming from abroad, foreigners from abroad. You know, and not to get too culturally complex, but like people that, like, you know, look like me, or people that are my age. You know, I mean, aside all color and whatever aside, you know, I'm covered in tattoos. You know, I'm not really like your, you know, salary man archetype. Like somebody give this man $200,000 to start a business. So, you know, I had to work my way up in that respect as well. There's something about being a Japanese designer in Japan. You know what I mean? There's another thing about being a foreign designer in Japan. It's definitely doable, it's workable, but it's one thing to come in and do a collaboration. It's one thing to come here and visit, but to set up a staple company here, like a staple brand here, it's a little bit difficult. Language barrier, of course, that's a challenge for a lot of people too, but I think that in our industry, that's a very small, that's a pretty small issue. I think that you can really get by on your work. A lot of people have gotten by on their work. A lot of people in our industry actually do speak English too. So that's minimal, but there are ceilings. There are certain ceilings. A huge reason why I started my label was because I did kind of have some gripes about the things that were going on. It got really oversaturated. And then even with that oversaturation, I believe that some people got lazy. I believe that there were people who were becoming brand owners or becoming designers, or like because of the imaginary profit that they thought was involved. And then that kind of screwed up the people who were really passionate about actually wanting to be involved in the culture and actually want to add to it. If you have a conversation about streetwear, you have to broaden your lens outside of who are the major stars that the spotlight is on right now. And no offense to those labels, because I do have respect for them, but streetwear has always been bigger than Off-White and Supreme, right? It's always been bigger than that. When I got into it, it was all about the hundreds and 10 deep. Triumvir was kicking. Black Scale, I think, had just got into the conversation. Crooks and Castles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My partner, Stoney, he had to introduce me to a whole nother aspect of it, because when he got into it, he was all cross colors and you know, Carl Kanai and all of that, right? So a lot of the younger generation don't really respect or know that aspect. So that's one piece. But then you gotta look at the OGs too, because the younger generation is not really just to blame. When the OG culture says, yo, this is ours, you know what I'm saying, and this is coveted, and you guys run out there and do whatever, and you can't have a piece of this, or you know, whatever, and they're like, no wonder like they're running around like they don't know what the hell is going on. You haven't really shared that knowledge with them. For anything that you're gonna do, you should definitely be passionate about it first, or at least have some interest in what you're getting into and understand where that interest comes from. Like, what is it you want from it? You want to be a streetwear designer because you can look, it's like, wow, they're sending him free Nikes and whatnot, or do you really want to be a designer? So I think the passion piece is first. Also, it's having a really good work ethic, like a respect for what you're doing. You know, you're gonna lose a lot of sleep, a lot of time and energy. You're gonna get a ton of no's, right, before somebody says yes to you, but you can't really let that deter you. You just have to imagine, as hard as you think that you're gonna work, like I would multiply that by 10, if not 20. Another piece I would say is something that I slept on because I thought that I can control all aspects of things, is get a solid team behind you. In my case, like, imagine if I had to do the accounting by myself, right? Like, imagine if I had to work the scales by myself and design and do all of those things. That's a really big piece to bite off and have to chew. And then I gotta upload content, and then I gotta design season 2, and then I gotta work on this collaboration with this. It's like, get a team behind you who might not necessarily even be your friends. Find some people that you can rely on and who believe in your vision. I think that's another really good piece, and I have that. I have an amazing team. I do a ton, but like, they're working their asses off too, like day in and day out. They're the reason I can sit here and do this interview, because they're working right now and I'm not. You know what I mean? So it's like that. I would say definitely take your gaze off of what's hype right now, and kind of see like what's bubbling up. You know what I mean? Like, what's really happening at these skate events, or at these live painting events, or at these underground vinyl parties and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always just about hidden fashion shows and exchanging business cards with people. You know what I mean? And all of that. Like, that's an aspect of it, definitely. But streetwear culture has always come from the streets, and you should be really involved and active in the streets. Don't be scared to make your own decision. You know what I mean? Don't be scared to make your own fashion choices. Don't be scared to venture out. Like, that's a big thing. I think that people are scared to venture out. And in not doing that, then you get an industry that's where it's like, we're buying $120 t-shirts now. Like, is that what we're doing? Like, now everything's $120 because we kept the gaze here. And he went 120, so he went 150, and then he went 130. And it's like, the quality of the design is not even there. And who is this, right? Oh, because somebody said that he gets to walk through the door now. And it's like, come on, man. I ain't spending $150 on, I wouldn't even spend $150 on my shit. You know what I'm saying?